Let's talk about English vocabulary, more specifically, 7 phrasal verbs native speakers use in everyday conversation, and so should you. So I prepared the explanations plus examples, real life examples. I picked some scenes from movies and TV shows, and in each example, I will pause, explain, and show you the best context because as I always talk about here on my channel, whenever I am talking about phrasal verbs, keep in mind that one phrasal verb may have multiple translations. And in this lesson, I'm going to cover one popular meaning, not all of them, okay? Make sure to subscribe, by the way, because here on my channel, I will help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English with confidence. And guys, I also prepared a worksheet for this material, okay? If you would like to have it, if not, it's cool, okay? The purchase link is in the description of this video. There are some exercises to complement your experience. But let's get to it, okay? Let's talk about the first phrasal verb. And one thing you need to understand is that at an intermediate level, you will learn a lot of vocabulary. It is natural. And phrasal verbs will be part of this journey. The goal, however, should not be on the number of phrasal verbs you learn. Even though I am going to talk about 7, don't become obsessed with the number. Oh, so I must memorize the 7 phrasal verbs. I must use the 7 phrasal verbs. No, focus on context. How can I use this phrasal verb? How can I describe a life event while you're using that phrasal verb? That's more important than trying to memorize everything, okay? Now, the first phrasal verb is to back out. I love this one. It's super popular. I'm going to wear my headphones because I'm going to play the video and I want to listen as well. And what I like about this kind of exercise is that in addition to learning the verb, you're also working on pronunciation and intonation, okay? This is what I like to call micro listening practice. Here, I'm going to show you the phrase, but when I am testing my students in my programs, my students' comprehension in my programs, I don't usually show the phrase. They have to write it down as much as possible, but that's not the goal here. The goal is not listening today. So let's listen to the first phrase. Ooh, and then backing out at a critical moment was a mistake. And then backing out at a critical moment was a mistake. And then backing out at a critical moment was a mistake. What does back out mean? Can you already understand the meaning? Let's look at another example that a native speaker is going to give us. Ooh, I didn't understand the name actually, but I wrote it down here. I think it's Ellie. It's Ellie. Ellie has never backed out of anything. Ellie has never backed out of anything. Let's see another one. And then at the last minute, I backed out, saying I didn't feel well. So why am I showing you the examples before showing you the meaning? Try to understand the context. Let's look at another one. You say that every day, but you always back out. What is the meaning of back out? To withdraw from a plan. To back out. You don't do what you said you were going to do. You say you're going to do something. You agree. You make the commitment. But then, at the last minute, you back out. You withdraw from it. So you can back out in many situations. As you saw in the examples, it can be abstract, it can be physical. Maybe you had an appointment, you had something to do, but then at the last minute you back out. You withdraw. You come up with an excuse. So let's listen to the examples again. And then backing out at a critical moment was a mistake. So, and then leaving at a critical moment, withdrawing yourself, like, hey, not gonna be here at a critical moment, at a very crucial moment. That was a mistake. How do you feel when people back out at a critical moment in your life when you actually need them to support you? That's not cool. I hope But anyway, let's continue. Allie has never backed out of anything. So she never withdrew herself. Like she was never like this behavior. Oh, I'm not going to do it. Sorry, last minute, I'm out. No. So, and then at the last minute, I backed out. I got out of the situation. I withdrew myself. I said, I'm not going to do it. I can't. I'm not feeling well. Typically, when you back out in a situation, you come up with an excuse. You create an excuse, okay? Let's carry on to the next one, the last one. You say that every day, but you always back out. So that is the gist. Let's go to the next one, shall we? Come across. Let's listen to the example so that it becomes clear to you what they mean.
You don't come across as someone who appreciates silence.
You don't come across as someone who appreciates silence. I think he said silence. I don't remember now. Yes, silence. Let's look at another example.
You don't exactly come across as the victim here, Alex.
You don't exactly come across as the victim here, Alex.
Do I come across as the motherly type?
Now she's asking a question. Do I come across as the motherly type?
He was trying really hard, and it came across as desperate and needy.
He was trying very hard. I'm paraphrasing some words. He was trying really hard, but that came across as needy. Desperate. So what is to come across? It means to appear. So you give the feeling, the appearance of something. Usually, not usually. It can be good, it can be negative, okay? It can be positive and negative. It doesn't matter. You need to think of a context, because I'm thinking of some examples here, and come across can be used to describe positive feelings, positive characteristics, and negative characteristics as well. Fine, okay? It is good. Let's listen again.
You don't come across as someone who appreciates silence.
You don't come across as someone who appreciates silence. Tell me, do you appreciate silence? Tell me here in the comments. I would love to know. One more time.
You don't exactly come across as the victim here, Alex.
You don't exactly come across as the victim here. I think the victim type, I don't remember. Let me see here the transcript. No, as the victim. You don't come across as exactly the victim here. Very good. Another one, let's see.
Do I come across as the motherly type?
Do I come across as the motherly type? Do I appear to be the mother type? Do I come across? Do I seem to be? Do I appear to be?
He was trying really hard.
He's trying really hard. He's making an effort to appear.
It came across as desperate and needy.
Okay, he was trying so hard. He was doing so much that he appeared. He gave the impression that he was desperate, that he was needy. Very good collocations, by the way. Let's move on to the next one. Call out for. Ooh, I like this one. Let's look at the examples. Sorry. The number 3.
I remember when you called him out for plagiarizing that song.
I remembered when you called him out for plagiarizing that song, making in an unauthorized copy, of a song.
Called him out for invading your privacy.
Let's see. I called him out because I didn't pay attention. I called him out for invading your privacy. I called him out for invading your privacy. Interesting. Let's look at another one.
And you called me out for being mean?
And you called me out for being mean. I love the Big Bang Theory. And you called me out for being mean.
You called me out. I remember when
you called me out for being selfish. What is to call out someone for something, okay? It means to criticize publicly, to expose someone's behavior. Typically a bad behavior. Now, here's a good moment to talk about a bad behavior, okay? So if you call someone out for something, it's usually for some kind of bad behavior because you're criticizing that person because of that bad behavior. You're exposing that person's behavior, that person's attitude. So let's look at the examples again, and they will make more sense, okay? Let's go.
I remember when you called him out for plagiarizing that.
I remember when you called him out for plagiarizing that song. So I remember when you criticized him publicly for copying the song, for plagiarizing that song. Another example.
Called him out for invading your privacy.
I called him out for invading your privacy. That's disrespectful. So I criticized him publicly for invading your privacy.
And you called me out for being mean?
And you criticized me, or you exposed my behavior because I was mean. I was not nice to you. That's the opposite of nice. When someone is not nice to you, they are mean to you. So you criticized me publicly, or you exposed me in public because I was being a little bad to you. That's the idea. That actress can be quite mean. That character, Bernadette. She's amazing. I love her, but she can be quite mean sometimes.
You called me out for being selfish.
You called me out for being selfish. You criticized me publicly for being selfish, not sharing, okay? But let's move on. Next phrasal verb. Call out can have other meanings, okay, Jose? But as I said, I am focusing on one meaning. Call out someone for something. So there are other translations that I'm not going to focus on because then the lesson would be longer. Let's carry on. Next phrasal verb. Open up, which may have many different uses.
When she called to invite me to the party, she opened up about what you're going through.
She opened up about what you're going through. So when she called to invite me to the party, I think I forgot the letter Y. She opened up about what you're going through. So she opened up. Let's continue. Another example.
I'm sure he'll open up when he's ready.
I'm sure he'll open up when he's ready. He will open up when he's ready. So maybe he's not ready right now. Let's take a look at another one.
I'm trying to open up here.
I'm trying to open up here. I am trying. I'm doing my best to open up here. They're having a conversation about something important, maybe.
I opened up my heart to you with the belief that you would respect it, but you didn't.
I opened up my heart to you with the belief you would respect it, but you didn't. Oh my God. To open up is really to open emotionally, okay? So you open your emotions to someone. You talk about your feelings. You become vulnerable to that person. You share your feelings, your emotions, your stories, your secrets. You talk about what you feel, what you think. You open your heart. That's very dangerous. Depending on the person you do that to. Watch out. Let's look at the examples again.
When she called to invite me to the party, she opened up about what you're going through.
So the woman called to invite him to the party, and that's when she opened up about what they're going through, about that guy, what he is going through. So she became vulnerable and shared what was going on with him. So probably something private, something, vulnerable that you don't share with everyone.
I'm sure he'll open up when he's ready.
I'm sure he'll open up when he's ready. I am sure he will talk about his feelings, what is happening when he's ready.
I'm trying to open up here.
I am trying to talk about my feelings here. I'm trying to talk about myself here. Pay attention.
I opened up my heart to you with the belief.
I opened up my heart to you. Here, the idea is very close. Okay, so she can say literally in an abstract manner that she opened her heart. She became vulnerable. She welcomed him in her life, but he didn't respect it.
That you would respect it, but you didn't.
He didn't. Oh well. Has that ever happened to you? I'm sorry. Oh well. And before I continue, make sure to share this video with a friend. That really helps the channel. And make sure to subscribe. More than 60% of people who watch my lessons are not subscribed. So, become part of the family. And one thing that I always talk to my students about is quality over quantity. With the students in my acceleration program, my academy, I always emphasize quality. And how do you understand quality? By the way you use the words you're studying. With my students in my program, for example, I teach them vocabulary, I give them examples, and then their job is to use, but not just create a silly example. Mary opened up to James. Who's Mary? Who's James? So is it easy or difficult for you to open up? And then tell me why. Oh, Priscilla, it's very difficult for me to open up. And then you explain. You talk about yourself, not about others or book examples. In the exercise material that I prepared, you will see some traditional exercises that will help you study the phrasal verbs, but you will also see some opportunities to create your examples. That's the ideal practice. That's something I do with my students. The only difference here is that there I correct them. That's very important, strategic corrections. But let's move on. Number 5, let's listen.
But for your information, I have been cutting back on my spending.
But for your information, I have been cutting back on my spending. I think she said my spending. I don't remember. Let's see. Yes, on my spending. She's cutting back on her spending. Good for her. Let's listen another.
I thought we were cutting back on sugar.
I thought we were cutting back on sugar. I thought we were cutting back on sugar. You can already have an idea of what it means, right?
You might want to cut back on the pasta.
You might want to cut back on the pasta. Pasta, spaghetti, lasagna. Oh, love it. One more example.
You cut back on my hours.
You cut back on my hours. What is to cut back on? To reduce. That's what cut back on means. You can reduce the hours, as the guy says in the last example. You cut back on my hours, and cut in the past is cut, okay? You need to understand the context. You cut back on my hours. You reduced my hours. Why? You cut back on my hours, man. The other woman, I thought we were cutting back on sugar. I thought we were reducing sugar. The first woman.
But for your information, I have been cutting back on my spending.
I've been cutting back on my spending. I am reducing my spending because, oh my God, I need to. Are you cutting back on your spending? Oh, let me know. And let's go to the next one, shall we? I like this one. Brush off. I don't like when people do that to me. Don't do that to people. Let's listen.
Look, Sherman, I know what it feels like to be brushed off, and it's
I know what it feels like to be brushed off.
okay.
Well, after the way you brushed off Susan.
Oh, after the way you brushed off, simple past, you brushed off Susan.
I'm certainly not going to treat you to an expensive lunch.
I'm certainly not going to treat you, to treat you to a nice lunch, expensive lunch.
Why are you brushing me off?
Why are you brushing me off? Direct. Why are you brushing me off?
I mean, you've been brushing me.
Look.
You've been brushing me off all week. What is to brush off? To ignore. Terrible thing. To ignore someone. To ignore something. To dismiss something. Okay? You don't give it the proper attention. You dismiss it. You ignore it. You can ignore people. You can ignore situations. You can't ignore people's feelings. You know, that's really bad. Now, there is an expression with this, okay, to give a brush off. That's very common. Not the focus here, but this expression does exist. So let's take a look at the examples again.
Look, Sherman, I know what it feels like to be brushed off, and it's so...
I know what it feels like to be brushed off. So she knows the feeling. She's telling him, hey, I know this feeling. I know when people are ignoring you. I know the feeling of when someone is ignoring you. Do you know that feeling when someone is brushing you off? How do you feel when someone is brushing you off? What do you do when someone is brushing you off? You know, it's so annoying.
Okay.
Well, after the way you brushed off Susan.
after the way you brushed off Susan, you ignored Susan, you dismissed Susan.
I'm certainly not going to treat you to an expensive
I'm certainly not going to treat you to a nice, expensive lunch.
Why are you brushing me off?
Why are you ignoring me? Why are you brushing me off? Why are you dismissing me like that?
I mean, you've been brushing.
Look,
You've been brushing me off for a week. You've been ignoring me for a week. You've been dismissing me for a week. I don't like that feeling. It is a terrible feeling. How do you feel when people brush you off? Let me know. And the last group we have here, and remember the link to get the exercise material is below. Check it out in the description of this video. Really cool, by the way. But let's focus on the end up. Very common.
that's how we ended up living there.
How did you end up in that?
Sorry, let me do this again because I wasn't listening.
That's how we ended up living there.
That's how we ended up. See the simple past, the pronunciation ended up. That's how we ended up. That's how we ended up living there. Interesting.
How did you end up in that cafe?
How'd you end up in that cafe? How did you end up in that cafe? Coffee shop.
Came to Hollywood to live the dream, ended up waiting tables.
I came to Hollywood to live the dream, but ended up waiting tables. So she wanted to live the dream, ended up waiting tables.
Do you think that ending up in this place is the worst thing that can happen to you?
Do you think that ending up in this place is the worst thing that can happen to you? Very good example. Very good, very good. What is to end up? It's not literally to finish, okay? I finished my homework, my lesson finished. I can't say this. This video ended. It's a different translation. To end up is to eventually, at some point, get to a result that you don't usually expect. It is surprising to you. You didn't expect that. And a good example to show that is the waitress example. She went to Hollywood to pursue her dream, to be an actress, to do something different. But she ended up becoming a waitress. Nothing wrong with the profession of being a waitress, but that was an unexpected result that she got to. That's not what she expected. That's not what she had planned, what she had envisioned. But that's what ended up happening. That's what eventually happened. So this could be the explanation. That's what eventually happened. Let's listen one more time.
That's how we ended up living there.
So that's how we got to live there. That's how eventually we started living in that place.
How did you end up in that cafe?
How did you go to that cafe eventually? Okay, so maybe we're doing other things, but how was that possible that you reached that cafe? It was not expected. Okay, so how is that possible?
Came to Hollywood to live the dream, ended up waiting tables.
So she came to Hollywood to live the dream, ended up waiting tables.
Do you think that ending up in this place is the worst thing that can happen to you?
So do you think that reaching this place, being in this place, can ultimately be the worst thing that could happen to you? So that's the end up in a negative way. No, it's not negative. It depends on the context, okay? Last night ended up quite nicely. You know, I wasn't expecting, I thought it was going to be difficult because I had some family, example, okay, I had some family members over that were not very nice, in all, that's not true, by the way, okay? But I ended up having a lot of fun. See? I was in a difficult place, with some difficult family members, but I ended up having fun. So that's good. It all boils down to example. Okay, it really boils down to example. In the example, for example, of the cafe, it's not really a bad, it's just surprising, just unexpected. And that is the idea, my friends. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to subscribe or share this video with a friend. But other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.